What's up? Joe here. The man who told John McCready that Gary was the only one who could have gotten to that blood. And once again, I'm here to recap an event that had some wild moments and sadly a disappointing finish. But it's Fight Night Ortega versus Rodriguez. The main event, Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega, and this matchup was super interesting to me. Brian Ortega is like one of the few guys with a scary bottom game in MMA, which is really rare. But Yair, a fantastic striker with a wild kicking style, and he really toned it down against Max to kind of create a more like technical and measured approach, which really made that matchup super difficult for him and in a great fight. And Max really had to dig deep to kind of get that win. And about the first minute in, it's a Yair striking fest. He just has the advantage with his movement and his big counter straights that are just blasting the chin constantly of Ortega. And Ortega's super tough. These shots aren't affecting him, and he's constantly pressuring, even drawing some blood with some of the few shots he was landing. And Ortega does get a body lock and pushes Yair to the cage. Nothing really going there. He's trying to get these takedowns, but he's landing some good knees. Eventually, he tries to drop down and spin to try and trip Yair, and Yair's just back up, and instantly, big 1-2, and like that head of Ortega just goes, whoa. Okay, it just knocks his head go wild, and nothing's phasing him. It seems like the kicks are starting to come through for Yair though, and he's starting to kind of really blast him, kind of figure him out. But Ortega shoots a double, gets Yair to the cage, and gets the takedown. But he has side control, but great hip dexterity from Yair. He's able to maneuver and get attack from an armbar from side control. So Ortega wasn't super tight on him. He was a little loose on him, trying to work his own jiu-jitsu, and he was allowed for the opening to try and go for an arm lock. It doesn't seem like it's in. Ortega is trying to pull his arm out, and as he's pulling it out, his shoulder just pops out. Sad way to lose a fight, disappointing loss, and it was a great fight, which sucks. But it's a TKO loss for him, and what a really bad way to end the fight, sadly. But the UFC, I think, really wanted someone to be a clear winner here so they could jump Josh Emmett, because these guys are more marketable than Josh Emmett to them, probably. But you know what? Josh Emmett, basically, in my mind, definitely secured his title shot by sitting on the sidelines this weekend. So good for him. Good for Josh Emmett. And what's next for these guys? Honestly, I just want to see him heal up and rematch. It's one of those things where, like, years ago, Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway had a fight at Featherweight. 5-round fight. First round, shoulder injury. And I wanted a rematch for the same reasons. Because I thought that matchup was interesting. This matchup's interesting. I say we don't make the same mistake we made years ago. Let's do this here. That's my opinion. Ortega did say something I thought was kind of dumb. I saw just the headline. I didn't see the full context of it, so I'm not trying to throw too much shade on him. But he did say something like he was winning every second of the fight, he thought. You know what? He's young. Emotions are running high. He's only 3 years older than me. So, emotions are running high. So I understand him thinking that after the fight. But honestly, it was Yair who I thought was winning the fight. I'm kind of curious what you guys think. But let's just run it back, boys. That's all I'm saying. The next fight I want to talk about is Matt Schnell versus Su Mudaerji, a flyweight matchup. And flyweight's just this great division, and it doesn't get enough coverage, so I'm going to try and right that wrong single-handedly myself. Also, this fight was just insane. So at the gate, Su Mudaerji using great movement and his great link to kind of poke and prod on the outside and circle. But Schnell gets a big level change, gets takedown, gets him out pretty instantly. There he takes the back, threatens for submissions, but Su Mudaerji defends well and turns into him through the body triangle and just gets top guard. From here, Schnell tries to go for a triangle, can't get it. He's on the wrong side of it with how his legs are positioned. So he tries to transition it to an omoplata. Great moment. Su Mudaerji just picks him up and just slams him. It was super cool. And from here, he gets top position. From here, Schnell reverses position in a scramble that creates and gets top position. And for the end of the round, he's just kind of landing good shots on top position with ground and pound over the top of the guard by stacking him or within the guard itself. So then a second round happens, and these boys just start swinging. Su Mudaerji lands this massive straight left that stumbles Schnell. Schnell's trying to pressure, and at one point they both land big shots. And they both go back, but Schnell takes the bigger one. And then Schnell gets dropped by this massive laser of a straight left, and he gets back up, defends himself, stands back up, and then Su Mudaerji starts landing this beautiful lead elbow. He's a southpaw, this beautiful lead elbow, and he's doing it by posting on Schnell's guard and using like a modified Dutch hand trap is kind of how I was thinking it. He's like pulling the hand down and bringing the elbow over just constantly, and these are freezing Schnell. Schnell was like getting hit, frozen in place, and then kind of pops back too. It was like for like in fighting game terms, like one frame he was unconscious of, like the full 60 seconds. So like 1/60th of a second he was out. It seemed like it was really weird. It was crazy. But eventually Schnell is just pressuring. He's surviving, and he's pressuring him, and he's firing back. Eventually he lands a big straight right into a great level change, gets the takedown easily, gets mount easily, massive ground and pound, just laying it all on top of him, big punches and elbows. But Su Mudaerji, with like a last bit of effort, rallies and reverses him, gets top position from full mount where he was getting whooped on. And then a triangle shows up, and blood is just seeping everywhere, all over Matt Schnell, and Matt Schnell tightens it, and it's over. Su Mudaerji doesn't tap and takes the big nap, and just a massive win and a great fight. And God, Flyweight is just awesome. All right, this fight, Moreno Figgy won. Royval, Kaikar France is amazing. Moreno and Royval as well is amazing. And those are like some of my favorite fights I've seen live. Like those are like in my top 50 fights I've seen live. And they all happened like 2 years recently. Flyweight just constantly pumps out great fights, it feels like. So please watch this division. It's amazing. I'm glad they never shut it down. And then finally, for the in-detail discussion, Shane Burgos and Charles Jourdain had another featherweight scrap on the card. Really cool for opening first couple minutes. So Burgos gets a takedown by, he was clinched, had the back control, clinch, and he just kicks off the cage. Super cool, super intuitive. And then once he's on the back, goes for this like really crazy, nasty neck crank. But Jourdain survives. He stands up, and he's like spinning him off his back. And while he's slipping off Burgos, he just like punches him and knocks the mouthpiece out. It's kind of a cool little sequence there. And the rest of the first round, that was back and forth. Some good little tricks by Jourdain, like trying to trip him in the striking to kind of, really hamper the movement of Burgos, who's trying to pressure and clinch and wrestle. While they were clinched up, Jourdain was landing some great knees up the middle. It was just fantastic stuff. So close first round, but Burgos was making some really good entries as well, so I can understand picking either or. Second round, though, was all Burgos. Early takedown, takes his back, and just holds his back for the entire round. But he's actively doing stuff. So he goes for like this really nasty neck crank, a la Habib did to Conor, and so it's like on the jaw. It's like his like forearms like right here, or his arms like right here on it, and he's just cranking, and you can see the squeezings of it, and but Jourdain survives, and just is nasty, super nasty, but definitely a Burgos round. So round 3, it's up in the air. Who knows who won round 1? Round 2 is definitely Burgos, and Jourdain just goes, you know what? I'm probably down 2-0. Realistically, I could be. Just let it all out, and just constantly peppering, Burgos with these big shots, crazy combinations, some like jumping kicks, jumping knees, great shots, and Burgos is just trying to survive. He gets wobbled a couple times, and he gets stumbled for sure at least once really well, and he just has to survive this, it seems like. And Burgos does get a clinch, and he survives, but man, he nearly got finished. And this was just a wild, crazy, razor thin close fight. Honestly, I don't think either fighter's stock drops. This reminds me of Emmett Cater a couple months ago, or like a month or so ago, and where I don't think either guy's stock dropped. And for this, I don't think either of their stocks dropped at all. I did score it for Jourdain slightly, but I honestly, if someone says, "Oh, Burgos won cleanly," sure, you can say anything happened. But the judges did give it a majority decision, so they themselves had a little bit of thinking to do, it seems like, for once, and give it to Shane Burgos. But keep an eye out for Jourdain. He took a massive step up in competition, I felt like, and he showed up. Lastly, some other notable moments, because there was a lot. Amanda Lemos tapped out Michelle Waterson-Nunes, who they're now, calling by her full name. That had a weird camera angle where you didn't see the tap, so it just kind of ended. And, me, the commentators, and the ref were confused. It's definitely a little weird, but oh well. Lauren Murphy pieced up Miesha Tate, just battered her in the final 2 rounds, especially the last round, for an easy decision win. So, They're spoiling the flyweight debut of Miesha Tate. So, and then Li Lang finishes Muslim Salikov with a great shot in a pretty solid fight. And then lastly, I do want to mention this: the younger brother Gilbert Burns was finished after gassing out in the second round against Bill Algeo. But it does seem like he popped his knee out of place in the middle of the fight. So I don't know how that really plays in. I didn't see it when I was watching the fight again, where it was, but sure. That's all for me, though. Be sure to check out the main channel as the week of UFC 277. Another retro review comes out. And I'm really excited about this one personally. And next week, I did the cover Curtis Blades and Tom Aspinall's Fight Night of card. And this one's kind of excites me because my debut with the INC family was Tom Aspinall Volkov. So it's kind of like oh, hey, I'm back. Kind of like a mini anniversary for me. So I'm definitely excited. Anyways, that's it for me, though. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This was the INC. Thank you for watching.